Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Releasing 100. I'm your host, Lisa McHale, and today I have the beautiful, gorgeous Carrie Pullaro, Pullaro,
Pullaro.
Pullaro from Clearwater, Florida, joining us today. And she is the creator of a program called Redefine Your Mind. So, Carrie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. From the moment I met you about a month ago in our NLP certification program, your approach to your program and this you redefine your mind really spoke to me because there was an undertone of dealing with addiction. And I think with releasing 100, there is this um, point in the awareness of when you have to come to terms with, could you possibly be an addict to food or to whatever it is that you're trying to experience. And so in that vein, I was like, oh my goodness, I really need to talk to her, and I would love for her to come on to Releasing 100 because of your understanding and the development of your program based on that understanding, just to have an open conversation of, if it is food, because it is legal, much like alcohol, and now drugs like cannabis is legal where I live now.
Mhm.
Um, there are certain things when it comes to addiction, and we were speaking about this before we started recording. It's an alteration of your current feeling. And I was like, oh my goodness, we've got to talk about that. So I'm going to just ask you to expand a little bit on that definition, and then let's see where this takes us for today.
Okay. Well, I mean, for me, addiction, and for me personally, it was drug addiction. Um, what I had to come to terms with was it was like an obsessive compulsive need to utilize, in my instance, it was drugs to change what I was feeling inside, which was feelings of um, unworthiness. I didn't feel lovable. I didn't feel good enough. And because I felt all of these different ways, I was always seeking something outside of me to change the way that I felt. Because let's face it, you don't want to feel bad. But I began to think that something was wrong with me. Like I was cursed, or I was like, I had a disease. I remember thinking, I have a disease that has not been diagnosed yet, and no one can help me. But I had no idea that it was really all me.
There's definitely that helplessness, I think, that all of us have felt when we feel like we don't have any choice, or we're alone, or
Powerless.
powerless. And so a lot of the things that you've uncovered, or that you've spoken so openly about, unworthy, unlovable, not good enough, those are all really deeply rooted. And some people don't even know that that's the root of it. Like they're just in the, I don't like how I feel. There's so many layers, between I don't like how I'm feeling and I feel like I'm not enough or I'm empty. So tell us a little bit about your journey, as much as you're willing to share, of how you discovered these unserving behaviors or beliefs.
Okay. Well, I was working. I come from a history of working as bartender in strip clubs, so I was always around like the party scene, and and that was like, I guess, the unworthiness, the unlovable, that felt unattractive. And so I work in this environment so that I could feel like maybe I was attractive, and it would fill, you know what I mean, fill that void inside, not understanding that I'm still hurting myself. And so in order to work in that environment, I had to use something, because I couldn't, a normal person that feels good about themselves and is secure in themselves is not going to go work in an environment like that. So I was, in a sense, using that environment to change the way that I was feeling. So do you see the pattern began there? Then the environment doesn't make me feel good inside. Now I start to use a substance to make me feel better. And I remember coming home, and my boyfriend at the time said to me, "You have got to get out of my house. You can't be here anymore. You have a problem." And for whatever reason, I listened to him, and I thought, well, maybe I do, but maybe I'll just go to a meeting so he'll leave me alone. And so I went to a 12-step meeting, and And there is where I realized that there's so much more to this, that I wasn't alone. I didn't have that disease or that thing that was undiagnosed, right? It was, a lot of people had the same experience that I had. And so by actually going through their program, it began to uncover some of the feeling, the low self-esteem, the unworthiness. And that's what got me started along the journey, because after I went through that program, you begin to feel better. So when I feel better now, I'm like, well, there's something about this. I need to like do more outside work. And so some people don't need more outside work. I really was pretty ill, so I needed some more outside work. So I began to explore other avenues. I wanted to find out why it is that I am the way that I am. Why do I always go searching for something outside myself? Because when I took the drugs away, and I was still insane. My thinking was what was crazy. I went and I would reach for food. I would reach for shopping, going to the gym too much. It didn't matter what it was. If I could abuse it to make myself feel a different way, I would. And so that was something. And I still tend to go that direction sometimes. I have to, it's having the awareness today of being able to catch that.
Yeah. It's a big thing that we talk about a lot, with the conversations that I have, and we talked about it before, where it's once you become aware, then you can label. Then when you label, you can give yourself permission to experience, and
Mhm.
then you can let it go and release it and have something else that is maybe more serving to your life purpose and your goal fill that space. And so tell us present day, what has replaced all of that? Like, where are you working? You obviously created a program called Redefine Your Mind. So from working as a bartender in a strip club, having all of these heavy feelings, to now, where are you today? And maybe tell us like the process to get there.
Well, today I'm an emotional well-being coach. And, I found that by being in the 12-step program, and I really loved working with other women and helping them through the process. And I thought, I need to just do this for a living. Um, and someone had suggested I do coaching. And so that was, the next step of my progression was getting into coaching. And still, and for me, I need a coach. I always have a coach. um, I still believe in therapy. I still believe that I need to continually um, be doing something, because there's always more layers. That's one thing that I've learned, is that there's always more layers to what we're really dealing with. Why do I feel not enough? um, and it's about, really, it was about reconditioning your mind.
Right.
From the way that, even from the moment like I wake up in the morning, I was recognizing, when I wake up in the morning, oh, I didn't get enough sleep. There's not enough hours in the day to get what I need to get done. And so there's this, um, all I do is like perpetuate the thinking of I don't have enough, not enough. And all that does is really go back to, I don't feel like I'm enough.
Right.
And so it's been a journey of changing that
Yeah.
thinking.
So, what are some of the tools that you do? I know that in one of our earlier episodes, we talked about Bob Proctor's writing down like 10 things that you're grateful for and sending love to three people that you might have a grievance with. And, oftentimes on the onset of my split, it would be myself, my ex, and my daughter, right? Like
Mhm.
that I would be sending love to every single day because the family was not the way that I expected it to be. And so the grievance was like, I'm going to send love to the three of us, no matter what happens, that we're all going to feel loved, whatever that might look like. And so when you look at today and you look at the constant, like, okay, the ups and the downs and seeing people and making space for things, the feeling of being not enough or not being enough still pops up. What types of things or tools or exercises are you doing to work through them bigger, faster, better now than compared to before?
So now I kind of have a system of in the morning, I wake up and I do some meditation,
Mhm.
and I kind of just allow, my higher power to, I journal. So I give myself a few minutes to just journal whatever I'm supposed to know or whatever is supposed to be revealed to me that day.
Mhm.
Um, and then I spend a moment in appreciation or gratitude, and I write a few things down, because really my experience of life is what I'm thinking about. And so if I'm looking for the good, I'm going to see the good. And even at the end of the day, um, I take a moment to write down my wins. And sometimes it's just getting out of bed,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And I want to celebrate my wins, no matter how big, no matter how small, because if I get in the pattern of celebrating myself, then I'm going to be my biggest fan, and
Yeah.
I can't lose. And also, another big thing for me was affirmations. I am statements, and standing in the mirror and looking in my own eyes and saying, I am lovable. I am beautiful. And I mean, whatever's true for you, whatever you are feeling in that moment, that was very powerful. There's something about looking in your own eyes. And at first it might feel so crazy and not true, but then you start to feel that connection and you start to really believe it. And that's powerful.
100%. I actually, I mentioned that we also do a podcast called Navigating Mindfulness, and my co-host there is Cheryl Sutherland. She's got a brand called Please No Skids, and she sells these stickers that I put on our water bottles. So you said beauty, and I was like, look at the one on my desk today. And on the back of it, look,
I love that. That's
yeah.
awesome.
So we have, I've got a few. This is how I store my filter and store my water. And so, yes, I agree with you. So here are the three things that I heard. You do journaling,
Mhm.
you do gratitudes, and you do affirmations. So really, it's a lot of mind setting.
Yes, and celebrations. I'm finding that celebration is becoming a very big key for me.
I love it. I love it. That's amazing. And so tell me, how do you celebrate?
Well, I just write down like my wins. Sometimes I'll just take myself out and be like, you know what, we're just going to go celebrate and like have your like a date night for me. Take
Yes.
myself out and do stuff for me.
Right, right, right. No, that's really, really lovely. And so, as you look into, because we're really still at the top of 2021, when you look into this year and you think about the letting go of unserving beliefs and behaviors and replacing them either with the work of, you know, letting go of them, and then replacing them with whatever comes up, which we're going to assume is the next thing that's going to serve you, whether it's another awareness that you need to peel back or if it's something that you got to celebrate. What are your intentions for 2021?
Ooh, that's so funny because it was like when I put my necklace on this morning, it's a lightning bolt, and it
Nice.
represents power and energy and electricity and fire. And that is what 2021 is going to be for me, because I have lived my whole life so fearful and afraid to do new things. And so this year is about stepping into my power and my authenticity, and really being, because there's a difference between wanting and being, right? I want to be this person. Well, stop wanting it and being afraid, just step into it, damn it. You know what I mean? And that is what 2021 is going to be about for me, is just stepping into my power and being me. And what you see is what you get.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. And so I know that you have a desire to just be there for people and to empower people. So let's do a little bit of a deep dive into the program that you're offering and how it supports people releasing the things that are no longer serving them and reframing their minds to work for them.
Well, the redefine your mind is really, we start to look at, and everybody's individual. So it really kind of, it ends up kind of being customized to what the client wants and whatever they want to work on. And we kind of look at where they are, emotionally, and spiritually and mentally, and also physically, because all four of those components, we need to have balance. in order for us to truly be happy. And what I've found is, for me, um, there's always one that I give more attention to. And when I give more attention to it, then I start to feel a little different. I start to feel out of whack a little bit. And it's all about maintaining the balance, and so that I can find joy and happiness in my life, because that's what it's about now.
Exactly, exactly. So when you customize your programs, is it a mix of like, or I'm going to say Zoom calls or video calls, or like one-on-one, or is it a mix of group? And then do you customize each session, or is it like a customized program for a set period of time? How do you work with your people?
Well, I work with people one on one. And so we meet once a week via Zoom. And I'm also available, and we talk throughout the week with various assignments. They're checking in at the end of the week to kind of reflect upon what's happened for them that week. And then those type of things are what we will discuss, during the Zoom call, or whatever's present for them. And so when I mean it's customizable, it's kind of like whatever is present for them is, where I'm going to come up with my assignments for them. Do you know what I'm saying? It's I start a direction, and then they lead the way, because it's about their healing. It's about their journey. It's not about me saying, "Hey, this is the path you absolutely need to go down."
Got it. Got it. So you're letting them lead their their plan and you're supporting them through it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I could totally see that because of your experience and just your clarity on like what your position is and your role is. Um, so I really love how you're clear about what you're looking for. Is there a discovery process that you go through when people first say they want to work with you to make sure that you guys are a good fit?
Yes, we do get on a Zoom call, and I kind of find out a little bit more about them, how they think I can help them, and just see if we're, a good match. If the energy matches and we're on the same page, then it's golden.
Then it's golden. Got it. Got it. So when you think about releasing 100 and you think about letting go of unserving and stepping into to power and grace, what are the top three things that you think people, generally speaking, and again, for a very customizable program, I get that this might be difficult. What are the top three things that you see people releasing to make massive change in their mindset, to make massive change in their realities?
Um, Really, I would just say it's like limiting beliefs. Like I can't, not thinking that they're not good enough, that they're unlovable. But all of that really comes back to fear. It's really n- fear of being as powerful as I really am. Knowing that I'm powerful, and there's fear paralyzes me. And that's what I had spent half of my life living in, the fearful state, and not understanding what my true power was until recently, when I went through a lot of different breakthroughs over the last year, broke through a lot of shame. And because sometimes we think that we're bad people, we've done some bad things, and we immediately put the label of, oh, I'm a bad person, and I'm not a bad person. I've done some bad things, and I'm not that person today. So releasing those beliefs, releasing the shame, the guilt, all of the inadequate feelings, and understanding who I really am, which, I'm full of love and light and energy, and we're all here to help each other. And that's really what it's all about.
Okay, so there's a lot of really heavy things that people are carrying that with them that are not serving them, like super heavy. Because when you say it, I'm like, oh man, right? So
Yeah.
not good enough, not lovable, not worthy. So there's that bucket. And then there's the behaviors that are like sneakily, like almost subconsciously become the person as opposed to the behavior. So the detachment of that is the other thing that I'm hearing. Is that what you're saying? Like you've done things and all of a sudden you're shaming yourself because now that's who you are instead of what you've done.
Yes, like, so for example, I shamed myself. I talk about this on Facebook a lot. Is I tested positive for herpes, right? And I talk about that on because I shamed myself for that. I was a bad person. I'm bad. I am tainted. I put all these labels on myself. And in order for me to really step into my power, I had to go. And I'm not suggesting everyone needs to go on Facebook and talk about it. That was just my process. Was I got on there and I really felt that somebody needed to hear that. And it
Right.
was so true that I had so many women reach out to me and say, "Oh my God, thank you for talking about that. I've been going through that myself." And there's just little things like that that hold us back. I didn't understand that that was holding me back from doing a lot of the things that I wanted to do, because I was really deep down inside, I wasn't good enough, because no man will ever want me. I'm tainted. you know why am I even here? I'm worthless. And if I'm worthless, why am I even alive? Boom. It just keeps going. Boom,
Right.
boom.
The spiraling,
Yeah.
going down and down and down. Wow. Okay. So I hadn't seen that Facebook post yet. And I can definitely feel the sense of empowerment, and I can empathize with the feeling of shame. Right? So it's so interesting to me how you want to step into this power. You have this belief or story, and they're just conflicting in this universal power to deliver what you want and the pathway to get to where you want to go. So let's drill down on that. Like, how did you get from I'm ashamed and whatever, I recognize that this is what it is, I'm just going to put it out there and I'm never going to have to think about it again? Like,
You know, I did a lot of work with a coach, actually. I did a lot of work with a couple of coaches, and one woman actually had the same experience, and that's how I found her. And she speaks about it all the time on Facebook and on Instagram. And so I started to work with her, and we did a lot of deep diving into um why I feel the shame. And I understood that these things that happen to me don't define who I am as a person. Things happen, you just roll with it. And I remember her saying to me, um, and I remember her saying to me, just because these things happen to you, it doesn't make you less of a human being. You have a story that you can share with other women, and they're going to feel empowered by you sharing your story, that you are going to be able to help them in a way that you could never imagine. And I get emotional because I understood that, because she helped me in a way that she didn't understand.
right, because you had been living in the same,
Yeah.
and now you're the same for others. And I thank you for really being so open and vulnerable here to share that, because I think I know of a couple of my friends who have been very quiet about their is it like, yeah, their diagnosis,
Hmm.
and they move differently, they behave differently, the way that they date has changed, the way that um they're just not as open, and that definitely dims their light that shines within, right? And I'm just like, okay, I totally get where you're coming from, totally
I
get it.
love that you said that it dims their light, because it does, because we keep these things a secret. And what we don't understand is well, for me, when I keep things a secret, it just destroys me on the inside. And so that's why it was so important for me to express it. And again, that's not for everyone. Everyone has their own way of their own self-expression. But for me, I really needed to be fully self-expressed. And I just felt like um, that it was time that I really needed to like step out there and help other women in a different capacity.
Right, right. I love it. I absolutely love it. So, if you're one of these women who totally can relate with Carrie and think you might be getting value or benefit from connecting with her, we're definitely going to put her contact info all around wherever you're watching and or listening to us today. Um, is there anything that you want to add before we wrap up? in terms of like a personal message that you want to share with anyone that is, I would imagine that a lot of our audience is letting go of weight. Like it would be either a food addiction or whatever. However, I do know that other people just sort of like pop in to listen because they're either personal friends, and we all know the referral of somebody that you know from somebody that they might have seen. So is there anything that you want to just kind of put out there in podcast land, about your message and your intention for this upcoming year?
I think that I would just want to invite people to take an honest look at themselves and see, where am I looking outside of myself to find something to fill a void within me. And if I'm doing so, is it making my life unmanageable? Because that might be something I need to look at.
Let's define what unmanageable is. So if you're looking outside of yourself, and these choices that you're making for looking outside of yourself is making your life unmanageable. So what is unmanageable? What are the symptoms? Like what would it look like?
So, I have several examples, but the main one that's coming to the forefront for me is, um, I remember being at a point, when I had been in recovery for some time, and my new addiction was food, and I wanted sugar all the time. And sometimes I would be getting in bed, that obsessive compulsiveness for a Reese's peanut butter cup or a Snickers bar, I would have to get out of bed and go to the store so that I could get the candy and come back home. And that's unmanageable. It's time to sleep. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm doing things out of the ordinary that I would normally do in order to get this like fix in a way, to try to change the way I'm feeling inside. And then all I do is feel worse, right? I might feel good for a little bit, but it's very short-lived. And then all the guilt comes in, and then there's shame that comes in because, oh, why did you do that? The remorse, all of that. And so all I do is just perpetuate the cycle.
Which is unmanageable. Okay, so there you go. There you have it. So you are encouraging people to really take an honest inventory about their behaviors and their belief systems, and if any of them are creating an unmanageable lifestyle.
Yes.
Okay, so if they do discover, because I would imagine a good like 8 or 9 out of 10 people might be doing this, what is that step? Is it to reach out for support? Is it now would they have this assessment? Now what's the next step?
To find someone that can help them. And I mean, and it looks different for different people. It might be meetings of some sort. It might be like rehab facility. But there's just different avenues. Therapy. It could be therapy. I've done. It might be a spiritual retreat. There's just so many different avenues. It might be coaching. Whatever you feel comfortable that could it could meet your need. And wherever you're gonna, I always say, like, get in wherever you fit in. So wherever I feel comfortable, I'm more likely to continue.
Correct.
And that's the direction that I want to go, because it'll flow.
I love it. Thank you for that, Carrie. I really, really love the advice that you've given, and I love the the assessment, and then the instruction to ask for support, because I think a lot of times, well, this week in particular, the theme has been, if you don't ask, you're not going to get it.
It's true. No one knows what you're feeling inside.
No one, yeah, no one knows, and so make it known. Make it known.
Absolutely. Don't let your
Awesome.
pride and ego get in the way.
I love it. I love it. Well, with that, I want to say thank you for joining us today. This was extremely enlightening. Addiction is, often a taboo topic, and I think we hit it bang on. Thank you so much for sharing your personal stories, your personal state, and how you got out of it, and what you're doing, and what your intentions are, and also how people can reach you if they feel like they could really connect with you and make some movements in their life towards what they want to get done too. So
Thank you so
thank you.
much for having me. I
You're
appreciate it.
welcome. You're welcome. And to our lovely audience, thank you so much for listening to us today and joining us. We look forward to seeing you again next week. So bye for now.